In the dream, I was in an abandoned, decrepit church. There were spiderwebs and litter everywhere, and from what I could see from the windows that were in the church, it was completely dark outside. There was a coffin at the altar of the church, and standing in front of it on the pulpit was Manny dressed in priest's robes, or more accurately, a mockery of priest's robes. At first, I didn't know who the person in the coffin was supposed to be, but I had a sneaking feeling. But then, Manny spoke, and there was no doubt who it was. Today, we gather here to celebrate the life of Greg Heffley. Greg Heffley was more than just a man. He was a son, a brother, and definitely not a husband or boyfriend. Then, something that sounded like a demonic laugh track could be heard throughout the room, with seemingly no source, and the sound coming from everywhere at once. Eventually, it subsided, and Manny continued with his speech. But most importantly, he was a friend. One you could always count on to stab you in the back to get what he wanted. Just ask Rowdy Jefferson, he knows. Then, the demonic laugh track sounded again, and Manny continued his speech. And now, a kind word given by Greg's brother, Manny. Then, just like magic, Manny's appearance changed from his priest robe to his normal outfit. Oh, the loss of Greg Heffley is so devastating to me. We've done so many fun things together. I'm so sad that has to end. But even though Greg's body is gone, his soul lives on. And one day, we will see him again on the other side. In fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do after this is over. Oh, me and Greg are going to have so much fun together for all eternity. Manny laughed and said, and speak of the devil. An invisible force shoved me to the ground, and I tried to get up, but to no avail. Frantically, I looked around the room, and I saw a mirror. In the mirror, I saw Maddox lying on the tiled floor of the megaplex, mangled and bloody, his bones all likely broken, but still alive. The mirror was some kind of window to the real world. Manny laughed and appeared in front of me, grinning with his sharp, jagged, yellow teeth, and looking down upon me with sadistic delight. I've got to say, Bobby, I knew you had something about trying to cheat with Holly, which is why Rowdy wants nothing to do with you. But until I eavesdropped on your dream of your creepy evil bag twin, I had no idea that you're the one who crashed her car. You are heartless. Oh, I'm so proud of you, Bobby. Manny fake cried before he went on. But on the bright side, you'll fit right in at the cool kids table where we're going. Then, I saw something that wasn't there before. A door at the back of the church. It wasn't a big door, nor was it particularly fancy. There were no ornate decorations or intricate wood patterns carved into the door. It was just a simple, wooden, red-painted door with one rusted knob, and the paint faded away, and on the door, one word was written on it with black paint. Then, the door opened by itself, and behind it was a decrepit, downward stone staircase leading into nothing but pitch black. The blackness it led into was blacker than black, pure pitch. The darkness down those stairs wasn't the absence of light. It seemed to be entirely its own substance comprised of pitch, nothing but pure, pitch foreboding blackness that was blacker than any black on this earth. It was the blackness of hell. Then, Manny laughed. It is ironic. You spent your whole life chasing status and popularity, and now in hell you will be legendary. We fought and struggled, but now our game must come to an end. It's bittersweet in a way. And now, after more than 2 years of butting heads and constant conflict, I will finally take your soul to hell. Why? Why do you want to take my soul to hell so bad? Oh, it's not just me, Bobby. It's dumb. I asked him what he meant by that, and he answered, the sons of evil, the ones who gave me the power to return from perdition and continue my work. You've seen the darkness in your soul, and they believe that you'd make an excellent soldier. But before that, you need to be in the right state of mind. And that's where I come in. Oh, we're gonna have so much fun, Bobby. And it's gonna be a long, long time. Like the song. Then, An invisible force started pulling me towards the door, towards the pitch blackness, towards hell. I struggled and kicked, but to no avail. And Manny laughed as I failed about while being pulled closer and closer to the door. I kept being pulled towards the door, and I thought this was the end. That I would be taken to heck and fall into the clutches of whatever archaic beings Manny was talking about. But then, Shrug appeared. Shrug charged at Manny, but in hindsight, that probably wasn't the smartest move, since Manny just stopped him in his tracks and lifted him up into the air without so much as touching him. Didn't I already kill you? Shrug was enough to distract Manny so that I was no longer being pulled towards the door, but I was still rooted to my spot, and Manny made it clear that he had no intention of letting any of us go. Oh well, I guess I'm gonna have to help you move on to the light. Except, it's more like moving on to the dark. Besides, you know what they say, the more the merrier. I don't think they have any use for you, but you can be my plaything. And unlike Bobby, our fun will be forever. Alright, it's time for you two to say goodbye, Earth, and hello, heck. Then, I was pulled towards the dark door once again, and so was Shrug. I kicked, flailed, and thrashed as I was pulled closer and closer to the door, but to no avail. I started to think this was it, that this was really it. Me and my friend were going to hell to be tormented in gruesome, horrific, unimaginable ways, and there was nothing we could do about it. Then, as I was being dragged closer and closer to the door, I saw someone walking up to Maddox, still alive and unconscious, in the mirror, and pretty soon, I got a good look at them, and I saw who it was. It was Fregley. Fregley took out a bottle of holy water and poured it on Maddox. Manny took notice of this, but by the time he did, it was too late, and Manny let out an agonized scream. We stopped being dragged closer towards the door, and we could move again. We were in Manny's grasp no more. Then, Manny started burning up and fell to the ground, screaming in agony as he continued to burn. Pretty soon, as he did, something started bursting from within his chest, as if it was trying to escape. As I looked closer, I saw that there were multiple things about to burst from within his chest, and soon, I realized what they were. They were souls, the souls of the families of Bryce's higher-ups, who the architect had sacrificed to Manny, were trying to get out. Now that Manny had been weakened, they actually had a chance, but they still seemed to need an extra push. Then, I saw a broken glass of Diet Coke bowl laying next to a used Jimmy, so I picked up a shard of the Diet Coke bowl glass, went over to Manny, and stabbed him in the chest. Manny screamed as I cut him open from the chest to the stomach, and then a gnarled, fleshy hand burst from inside of his stomach. The hand was reddish, veiny, like the adult version of the flesh of an infant who has not yet been fully formed in the mother's womb, or that of someone who has been skinned alive. The hand tore at his flesh, and Manny screamed as it did so. After it tore off his flesh, another hand burst out of the area where it had been torn. The cycle repeated, and as it did, Manny's flesh began to melt, either from the holy water burning him up, or from the hands tearing at the flesh continuing to weaken his spiritual state, or maybe both. Pretty soon, their hands were bursting from all over his arms, torso, and neck, and were clawing at his face. Then, the hands coming from Manny's face grabbed his upper and lower jaw, and they tore him open. As he did, misty wisp flew out of him, up into the air. The souls, they were finally freed, rising up from the flesh of their captor, ascending up to heaven, where they can finally rest in peace. Once every last spirit was out of Manny and ascended into the light, Manny crumbled to the ground like dust, and all that was left of him was his clothes and shoes. Manny was no more. Rest in hell, Ploopy. I don't know why I said that, but damn, it felt good. I stood there for a moment, just staring at the crumpled, shard pile that was left of Manny. And then, Shrug came up to me. He's finally gone, Shrug. It seems he is. Hey, Thanks for, you know, standing by me, even in death. No problem, man. That's what friends are for. Yeah. Besides, it's not like I can move on to the next life anyway, so I may as well do some good here. So, what now? I don't know. I'm the one keeping the dream going, by the way. Since Manny's gone, I'm making sure Maddox stays asleep. Why? Dude, you got stabbed like 12 times. You'll die if you wake up. You know what? I accept that. Really? Yeah. I'm tired of running from things, good or bad. I'll take what comes to me. I understand. Well, so long, Greg. I hope you make it through this. So long, shrug. And if not, I hope you make it to heaven and rest in peace. But if you don't, you can always hang out with me in the ghost plane. That's the real thing. Really? Yeah, man. The afterlife is crazy. Tell me about it. Well, I should probably let you, wake up. Yeah. Goodbye, Shirag. Goodbye, Greg. Me and Shirag hugged, and Shirag smiled before he disappeared. It was just me, standing there alone in the church for a second. Then, I woke up. When I woke up, the pain shot up all at once. I was laying against the pillar, bleeding out, my head throbbing and in pain beyond belief. I crawled over to the edge of the balcony, and when I looked down, I saw Maddox lying there, now unconscious and awake. His body was mangled and mashed up. His bones were probably all broken, just like I saw in the mirror, and he did not scream or even moan. He could not scream or even moan. But his eyes were aware, excruciatingly aware, and he was in unimaginable pain. He would twitch constantly, unable to move or scream, only able to lie there in unbearable agony. It was worse than dying on impact, because at least then there was an escape. For Maddox, there wasn't, or at least not a quick one. Maddox continued to just lay there and twitch while staring up at the ceiling, his eyes conveying excruciating agony. I could see blood gurgle from his mouth when he tried to scream, but to no avail. He just kept twitching and staring up at the ceiling for a while until, eventually, he stopped twitching and he died. Then, I just laid back for a while, bleeding out. Now, I'm here, writing this. Write down everything that happened. This might be the last entry that I write in here, ever. I can even feel myself slipping out of consciousness. But this time, it isn't Manny. This is natural. I don't know if I'm gonna go to heaven in spite of my sins, or if I'm gonna go to hell like Manny. But I guess I'm gonna find out, whether now or years later when I'm finally old and grey. I'm fading to black. I don't have much longer to write in this. I'm sorry, Riley. I'm sorry, Holly. I'm so sorry.